It's very important to water things during hot and dry weather. It's also very important to water all of your vegetable garden in these hot, dry days. It's sort of very good to have a good source of water. Here we've dug these holes to collect all the rainwater, so all of the drainage channels and everything all over the land all ends up in these ponds. But this one is a not finished pond. This is just basically a hole, really. Pond water is more nutritious than tap water, and it also doesn't have harmful toxins like chlorine in it. It's better for the plants all round. It's just finding somewhere deep enough, because at the moment in the winter the water's about this high, but now it's very shallow. Whoa. That wasn't supposed to happen. In these dry days, everything will need a really thorough water. By having the mulch, we do save a lot of water. You don't need to water as much, but you still need to give them a really good soaking when the weather is dry. Runner beans like a lot of water in the dry weather as well, but I've first got to check, make sure there's no cats hiding in there. All clear? So I'll give each side of the runner bean row 2 cans of water like this, and yeah, they really like that. Every day these runner beans produce more and more. So we have to pick these today. If you don't keep picking them, they go all very big and tough. And I'm now going to water the other side. And I'm giving these newly planted strawberries a really good soaking as well. These strawberry plants were planted about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I did a video about it called How to Plant Strawberries, or Planting Strawberries, something like that. I always water things in a sort of priority list. So the vegetable garden and polytunnel are top of that priority list. And next on the priority list are plants in pots. And for that we're going to need more water. It's good to collect the water from the nearest pond to where the plants are. This pond is much deeper and much easier to fill up watering cans. Because plants in pots are much more vulnerable to drying out, particularly if they're in full sun. So after the vegetable garden, they're definitely the top of the priority list. So plants in pots. They only watered them yesterday and they're already almost dry. I mean, these have been here for ages because this is all like a half-finished project here. Whenever it's dry, I always give them a really good watering. Always be very carefully water in between the cats. Here's a wedding cake tree, which is a type of cornus, and there's all sorts of shrubs here mainly. But I haven't forgotten about them, so I keep them watered, and one day they'll all be planted, and this area where I'm standing will all be a big shrubbery. Some of it's planted already, but whilst they're like this, you've got to keep them watered. And it's good to keep them weeded as well. And I'm just watering. This is a little monkey puzzle tree here, and it'll be planted over there somewhere. Put about 3 of them to put in a little group. we are at another unfinished project. So here, if you might remember from one of my previous videos, this is like a half-finished woodland headland area, and so we've got little trees in pots like this cherry plum, which the soil is going to be here. The hole's been dug for it, it's in its hole, it's just waiting to be taken out of its pot and have some topsoil put there. So for the time being, all these trees like this are just keeping watered in dry weather, and then I hope that they'll be planted sometime soon. Oh. Yeah, they're sort of taking positions where they are to go, so they're sort of, it's got to remember where they all are. But also the ones that I planted recently, I'll just give them a quick watering too. And all these ones in pots as well. When plants come from the garden centre, they're usually in these black pots. And when the black pots heat up in the sun, they get really, really hot. I think that's why the garden centre grows their own plants in these black pots, but when they sell us pots, they sell them as these brown ones. It's very good to save the black pots because things grow much more quickly in them, but they need loads more water. So really every day or twice a day in hot weather, these ones, and hopefully they'll all be planted soon. Next priority is plants that have been recently planted, like any recently planted fruit trees, or any recently planted hedgerows. And all these little trees that we planted last winter, they all need liquid soaking whenever it gets dry, but they probably won't by next year. And we've got to water these ones as well. These ones were recently planted in the Planting Trees in Summer video. So it takes a long time to water everything. When the weather's dry, we take sometimes all day watering things. The drier it is, the longer we take to water everything. But right at the moment, the shrubs and trees that we've recently planted on this island over here are one of the biggest hassles because it's got a performance getting over there. But when it's dry, we have to water them every day because we only planted them less than a week ago. So it's all this performance of untying the boat and the balancing act without wobbling it or anything. So if you see all my videos planting a wooded island and also planting acidic plants, you'd have seen these being planted and you'd have seen it was only like last week. Right, so when it's a hot weather at the moment, because these are so recently planted, this is a daily job. Next year we won't have to water them as much, only if it gets really, really dry, and after that we won't really have to water them at all. They should have deep enough tap roots and be okay, look after themselves. They just need a mulch from time to time. Because this is flat and because all of the soil is protected by a thick layer of this bark mulch, I can water these the really lazy way. So this way round backwards, like this. I'm giving each of the trees 2 watering cans and each of the shrubs 1 watering can. Whilst I'm here, I'm also going to put a bit of this ericaceous mulch around the hydrangeas because the lady at the garden centre said they'd like a bit. I'll just give those hydrangeas a bit more water. When it's really dry weather, we can sometimes take the whole day watering. It takes a hell of a long time. So when it's wet weather, we get a lot more done. So for what's left of the summer and autumn, if there's dry weather, we'll have to come here and water these regularly. If it's wet weather, we won't. Once they're like next year, we wouldn't need to water them as much. Maybe just after quite a few days of dry weather, and then halfway through next year or the year afterwards, we'd hardly have to water them at all. The shrubs behind me on the upper bit, we never have to water these now. These have been in at least 4 years and they're really established, even though they're not as big as they will be one day. We very rarely have to do anything up there. So we want to make this island quite low maintenance, so it's sort of shrubs, and then the only really flower display is underground, underneath with the bulbs in the spring, and then you have all the blossom trees and all the greenery, and then the autumn leaves and things. So it's wanted a colourful thing across the water, low maintenance, and hopefully that's what we're going to create here. This viburnum usually flowers in the early spring, but it's just sending off a sort of rogue flower now. I hope you liked today's video. If you did, please like and subscribe. And if you press the little me, which is somewhere down here or down there, you can see all my other videos. And I shall see you next time. If you look over there, there's like a mist coming in now, and the clouds are thickening, and it looks like maybe it's going to rain. But so perhaps all the watering we did is for nothing, but at least now we're not going to be worried about it or anything. We know that everything's been watered and everything's safe.